What's going on YouTube? My name is ginj-tcg or Chris, and today I'm back with another Rogue deck. This one is the deck that took down the Rogue Regional that I just premiered on this channel this weekend, and it is Goodra VSTAR Iron Thorns. If you don't know, we did conclude the big Rogue tournament that my buddies and I were playing, and this was the deck I piloted and was able to take to the victory. It revolves around Goodra VSTAR with the rolling iron attack. You do 200 damage, and the effect that clutched up every single match was taking 80 less damage from attacks. And I think in the current format we're in, where we're seeing a lot of stage 2 decks like Dragapult do very well and have very high success, I think rolling iron is a phenomenal attack to use into this format. We have also paired this deck with Iron Thorns EX with the initialization ability, where you shut down all rule box abilities in play from your opponent's rule box Pokemon. We have Radiant Jirachi as our Radiant with Entrusted Wishes is a solid Pokemon to buy some time, and Astral Misfortune was surprisingly effective during the tournament. I think I took 4 KOs with Astral Misfortune. I believe I went 4 for 5 or 4 for 6 on KOs, which I know is some pretty solid luck, but it definitely, like, I feel like when you use Astral Misfortune, it's, you flip 2 coins, if both are heads, you take a KO. I feel like when you're using this attack, you're usually in kind of a tough spot and you need to set up, and it's really just there for Entrusted Wishes, so when you get knocked out, you can search for 3 cards and just set up instantly. But when you're attacking with it, it's like, I don't really expect to take any prizes, so then any prizes that are potentially taken are massive, and oftentimes, like, game-defining, and huge points in the game. So, a very solid combo. I have showcased this deck on the channel before, so I won't spend too much time diving into every single card, but we're not really playing a draw engine with it. We're really just playing Radiant Jirachi for a search in the beginning, as well as Iron Thorns to buy some time. We're using Crispin and Arven, the combo of the two, to set up our deck. Arven will allow us to search for a Nest Ball and TM Turbo Energize, which can then let us get energy into play on a benched Pokemon. So if we lead Iron Thorns, use Turbo Energize because we like to go second. We could get a a water and a metal energy onto Goodra VSTAR, so it's easier to use the following turn. Our ace spec is Cape, so we can use an Arven the following turn to set up with Cape and get a tankier Goodra because it needed 450 damage to one-shot a Goodra after using Rolling Iron with Cape. You're using Crispin just to get extra energy accelerated. If you have to use Iron Thorns, you're using Volt Cyclone to move energy around. I mean, the deck just has a lot of synergy together, and it just, I don't know, it flowed so well at the tournament, and I told all my buddies, no matter what deck won, I'm going to be showcasing their deck on my next video. So here I am, bringing my own deck since I did take it down. I went 6-0 for the day with this deck, and I played some insane lists. I had some crazy matches, but Goodra did reign supreme. So we got Boss's Orders and Iono as well as Judge, just for disruption, whether it's hand disruption or just taking Gust KOs and making sure we're taking 2 prize cards where we want with Rolling Iron. We've got Professor Turo and Penny for that full heal effect. And then we have 1 copy of Xerosic's Machinations, which is an insane supporter in a deck like this where your opponent discards cards until they have 3 cards in their hand. So for a lot of decks, it can build up some huge hand sizes, and once we get going with 1 Goodra in the active, we really don't need a lot of supporters to keep setting ourselves up, so we do have access to using Xerosic's Machinations as an awesome disruption supporter. In a deck like this, I am playing an insane amount of tools. I am playing Counter Gain and EXP Share just to work on the energy distribution in the mid to late game, as well as Turbo Energize, which I mentioned. In the early game, I am playing 2 copies of Turbo Energize just in case one is prized, and I'm very happy I did. This was one of the most influential cards in this tournament, I think, for me. Probably one of the most unsung heroes of the tournament was how well Turbo Energize was able to be pulled off, how consistently, how effective it was on just getting the ball rolling for this deck. We got 1 copy of Future Booster Energy Capsule to give Iron Thorns a pivot, as well as boost it to 160 damage if we need to take some big KOs with it. You know, 20 extra damage could be huge when we're 2-shotting certain Pokemon. As well as Hero's Cape, which I mentioned, you know, just kind of boost Goodra a bit. We have 3 copies of Jet Energy, which is going to be our main pivot, as well as 1 Mist Energy. And this is really here to deal with, like, you know, a random Giratina Lost box, which has Star Requiem, the very popular Dragapult VSTAR. We could put this on a Goodra. It'll stop the damage counters in the case they want to go for a Boss Loop. And then we got 3 Electric Energy, 3 Metal Energy, and 4 Water Energy to close out the energy for the deck and make Crispin very effective, since oftentimes we have 2 energy cards of different types in the deck. For items, we're playing a very interesting count, but I did like it at the tournament. It felt very comfortable. I liked having 3 Nest Balls and 2 Ultra Balls. You really don't need more than that because oftentimes you're just using Arven to search out Nest Ball or Ultra Ball, and you really don't need more than that since we're not playing for a massive bench. Just the search power alone to get those out is really all that's needed. We're playing 1 copy of Vacuum and Counter Catcher as our disruptive items. Vacuum can get rid of pesky stadiums or tools such as Sparkling Crystal. We've got Counter Catcher just as another gust option. We got Vessel and Rod to put energy and Pokemon back in the deck, and then Vessel is there to search out the energy. Night Stretcher, also an amazing card I use many times actually to bring Radiant Jirachi back, literally just to have it. I was rocking with Jirachi so much in the tournament. Actually was one of the most fun cards I've ever played with, definitely my favorite Radiant. And then the only item we're playing 4 copies of is Pokégear, because again, this deck thrives on going second, and we want to make sure we're playing the perfect supporter down every chance we can get. So to play 4 copies of gear just increases our chances of starting with Arven in our starting hand, since we have gear and 4 Arven, and then finding Crispin, Boss, and Iono on the turns that they're needed. I think if I were to go back and edit this deck a little bit, honestly, I'd probably take out EXP Share. I don't think I used it once the entire tournament. I've used it a lot online, which is why I've always rocked with it. I'm sure this video, now that I've said that, I'm going to use EXP Share a couple times. But I think EXP Share was definitely the most cuttable card. If I had to throw something else in its place, I would look into another fun disruptive supporter just to give the deck some more options, or maybe like some crazy item that you haven't played. Like, I don't think there's really too much this deck was lacking. Maybe even another energy, like another Mist Energy wouldn't hurt, especially if you're bringing this to like not a Rogue Regional, which I played it at. If you're playing this for the latter, a bigger tournament, maybe a second Mist Energy could be huge with just the popularity of things like I don't know, like Dragapult is the biggest thing that comes to mind, but I know that's like tearing up the format, and it's kind of a card I'd want to tech for. It also helps against Regidrago because that could stop some random effects of that. Maybe a V-Guard energy if you're trying to deal with Regidrago, that could be nice too, because you could stop Giratina, which swings to 80, or not stop it, but it takes 30 less damage from attacks, which could be helpful when you're already taking 80 less damage. Just the less damage taken, the better. I don't know, I mean, you got a lot of flex with that EXP Share, but I guess if I had to change one card, that would probably be it. So, let's get into the deck. I've showed it off before. I can't wait to show it off again. The deck is a ton of fun to play and actually very, very strong, very consistent, very powerful. So, yeah, before I hop into 3 matches, if you haven't seen it, got that TCG Player affiliate link. So if you're going to TCG Player for any singles, decks, deck accessories, doesn't matter what card game, go to TCG Player via my link in the description down below. Just clicking on my link and then ordering cards after clicking on my link within 48 hours supports the channel in a massive way. So thank you so much to everyone who's been doing that. And now, let's hop into today's video and see how well Goodra VSTAR can do. Welcome to match number 1. We are going second, but I'm taking a mulligan. I'm showing my opponent I'm playing Goodra VSTAR, but that's okay. They either have a deck that could deal with Goodra or they don't. And based on their electric sleeves, I want to lean that they're playing Miraidon, which is definitely a matchup Goodra VSTAR can take. I mean, Goodra VSTAR can block out a lot of damage from a lot of their attackers, and I'm not playing a huge bench, so if they're relying on Raikou to swing for huge damage, it's really not going to happen because I've got like max 2 Pokemon on my bench at a time with a deck like this. They put their Pokemon in the active. I'm waiting to see if they got anything else so I can draw into another hand, give them hopefully just the 1 card from a mulligan, although we'll see how many we're taking, and then I can maybe get this game going. I had a decent hand other than Goodra VSTAR. If that was literally any basic in our deck, we actually had kind of a banger of a starting hand, and we're just taking the 1 mulligan, so that's nice. And we're leading Iron Thorns. The rest of our hand doesn't look great, I'm not gonna lie, but Iron Thorns is never a bad Pokemon to lead and have a rough hand. This happens sometimes. I mean, no matter what deck you're playing, it can win a tournament, and then the next day you can play it, and it could brick, and you've got really nothing you can do. What's nice is I've got Crispin, so I might not be able to attack turn 1, but I definitely can attack turn 2, and I'm up against an Evolution deck. Okay, it's gonna be a ton of fun. They can't use Rainbow DNA yet, nor can they use Flip the Script, because I am leading Iron Thorns. However, Evolution decks can swing pretty well into Iron Thorns, since many, like Jolteons, Flareons, Pokemon like that, don't actually have abilities, and they might be playing like the Knocked Owl engine, so they could probably get their deck going well. It's going to be down to what supporter can I top deck, you know, what could I dig out of this deck and get myself set up a little bit. Goodra can 100% take this whole matchup. I'm not worried about that. What I'm worried about, and this is the scariest part about playing this deck, is how you start the game. How you start the game is absolutely pivotal to what the rest of your game looks like. And the same could be said to any deck, but when you're playing a deck with no draw engine, the first 2 turns are even more crucial because you either start with what you need to get going and you can dig yourself out of whatever hole you started in, or you can't. And I know like the last match of the tournament period, like in the finals, I was up against Hydreigon EX, and my opponent was up 5 prize cards, and I did not have that great a start, but I knew Goodra's math swung very well into Hydreigon because they only swing 120 a turn with 1 active Goodra with Cape. And this deck kind of has a similar vibe where they're not swinging super hard at any one moment. If they use the bottom attack, they're swinging pretty hard, but then they can't attack the following turn, so Pokemon might be stuck. And that's the type of stuff we have to like math out when my opponent can pull those attacks off, and they're just going to pass, which is nice. I do lead Radiant Jirachi, which I'm never afraid to bench and just get down. I think the best play for us is to go Crispin here. Just get an electric. We only have 1 electric energy. I pressed 2 of them. All right, that hurts a bit. We'll take an electric energy and a water energy. I already have the steel energy in hand. I'll put the water energy in my hand as well. I'll attach the electric to Iron Thorns as well as the mist energy. I feel like against most evolution decks, at least that play fire energy, and based on their electric sleeves, I'm hoping it's a Jolteon deck. There's no effects in their deck, just in case I do have the mist down, and I'll pass it on over to my opponent, see what they got. If they want to boss and take a KO on Jirachi, be my guest. I'll take 3 cards. There's no problem by me, definitely not complaining about it. What's nice though is I could swing next turn. So even if I didn't have the best time getting Goodra out, I do have a pretty solid time just to start attacking. And that's going to have to be good enough. If nothing else, I'll take a KO, I'll go counter gain Radiant Jirachi and go Astral Misfortune. I'll start cooking my opponent that way. I fear nothing, man. Like, this deck wants to smoke with whatever you got. For now, my opponent does have Knockdown on hand. They can use Jewel Seeker, and I'm curious to see what 2 supporters they want. I'm assuming some sort of evolution, although this ability is shut down. So they actually can't evolve this Eevee, funny enough. Because Rainbow DNA is turned off. They can't evolve into an Evolution EX. And my opponent's going to go Arven Earthen Vessel. Okay. They could probably Arven for Ultra Ball is my guess. They have Vessel. They could get some energy down. They didn't say Crispin, so they might not be able to pull off an attack with Flareon this turn, assuming that is what my opponent's going into and not like a Jolteon or something. Or maybe they go Turbo Energize, get some extra energy down. I don't know. I have no idea what or actually Terra Crystal would work better. It's Ultra Ball without the discard for an evolution deck. And yeah, I really don't know what they're playing until I see more of their energy, and I could get more of an idea if this is a Jolteon deck, a Flareon deck, or some other crazy evolution pile. I know they've been popping up a little bit more in the online tournament present. I have one cooked up for this week that I made. Awful win. I woke up from a nap and I had this ridiculous idea for an evolution combo, because I feel like one hasn't really just broken the surface in the way people had hoped, being like the forefront, the stars of the Prismatic evolution format. Like, they really just didn't take off. None of them proved to be too effective. There's a couple random piles running around, but nothing past that. They got a water energy and a fire energy. They didn't get the electric energy I had expected. Maybe they have some electric in hand. Did they play? No. Yeah, they didn't. Okay. And they got Defiance Band too. So that maybe we're dodging an attack this turn and then we could get a little bit more ahead. That would feel pretty nice. Maybe they don't know Rainbow DNA is not going to work. And yeah, they got Burning Charge Flareon. That's what I thought we would be up against. But initialization is just absolutely going to town here. So depending on if my opponent evolves their bench EV or their active EV, I might actually just boss up a Flareon and get the first attack off it, since we'd be two-shotting each other. Right? I feel like that's generally the best play. Yeah, so we can't use Crushing Hammer because they're Hoo-Hoo, but we don't play any Crushing Hammer in this list. I was just double-checking that. That was the ability, and they do evolve their benched EV. So I think that is the guy we want to start attacking. They are getting some energy smack down on it, but that's alright. I can rock with that, because what's important is I'm going to start swinging this turn. I'm going to get the first hit off, and they're only swinging 130. We are two-shotting them. We will two-hit for 280, which is huge math. And it's passed on over to us, and we get Hero's Cape. Oh, I'm tempted. I don't think I want to do that yet. I think for now, we're just going to go boss on Flareon. I'm not going to bench Iron Thorns just yet, because I don't have a guarantee I'll be able to attack with the next turn. For now, I'm just going to Volt Cyclone, and I'll move the Water Energy. right? Actually, you know what? No, I'll move the Mist Energy. There is a chance, like, I guess my opponent could Crispin take the KO. There's a solid chance my Iron Thorns is going to live this attack, and if I top deck a Nest Ball or Goodra VSTAR, or not Goodra VSTAR, Goodra V, something like that, I could Volt Cycle and start moving water and metal energy down onto Goodra, and I think I like that play a little bit more. I don't think Mist is going to be too relevant since my opponent is not playing any Dark Psychic Energy or anything where I should be worried about effects of an attack. Flareon, Jolteon, and Vaporeon really just deal in, like, damage, which is fine, and then going into Radiant Jirachi, using Boss on Jirachi is even better for me. I mean, you know, you could take a KO on my active. I will happily search for 3 cards and pick through there, and I think that's what's so nice about Radiant Jirachi. It pulls you out of so many rough scenarios in the beginning of the game and just allows you to start flying through your deck. And they've got the Vaporeon EX, so it'll do 60 damage to each Pokemon EX. Honestly, I don't plan on playing another Iron Thorns, so Severe Squall isn't going to be awesome. Aquamarine, 280. It's a tanky hit, but as long as we can set up a Goodra, I'm really not too worried about getting it going, and they actually don't even get an energy down on Flareon, so not going to use Burning Charge. Okay. That's fine. We get a Goodra VSTAR there. I'm tempted here to go Astral Misfortune. I don't really want to retreat. I don't mind if they KO my active. Let's do it. I could always counter gain onto Iron Thorns, assuming I whiff this. And there's 1 heads. Yeah, there's 1 tails. Alright, so we're not going to take 2 prize cards there, but that's fine. If my opponent takes a KO, I'll just throw counter gain on Iron Thorns. Search for a couple like 3 cards. What would I get? Probably Arven. I would go, what would I do? Arven. I really don't need much. I really just need like a Goodra V. And a Vessel. I don't know. Maybe a fun supporter. Iono, Judge, something like that. We'll see what my opponent's got. Burning Charge here is huge. That's what I want my opponent to do. I want my opponent to swing in their Jirachi. I want 3 cards. I want to be able to play this game and see what my opponent's got in store for us. Judge would be pretty nice, though. Could put my opponent's hand back down to size, because they would have 6 cards in hand. Could knock it back down to 4. I can get, well, if I go Arven, although I don't really need more tools. I've got Counter Gain and Cape. I feel like that's plenty. And then maybe Crispin, just for the following turn. I don't know. We'll see. They're taking a KO, so I can search for cards, which is perfect. That's what I needed here. They'll get a couple energy down on Vaporeon. They've only got 2 EVs in play. We're going to be taking a KO on Flareon this turn, which feels pretty good too. You know, I could go Penny, actually, because they're only swinging 280. They do have Defiance Band, but I'm not that scared of it since they're, no, will be ahead. Defiance Band will be live. We do know it's in their hand. So I don't want to play Cape. We'll be at 330. Actually, and they wouldn't be swinging 330, would they? They'd be swinging 310. You know what? All right, hear me out. Hear me out. We're going to take Arven. We're going to take... We have Cape. We have Counter Gain. We're going to take Penny. We've got a ridiculous play lined up. And then we need 1 more card. Maybe Vessel, just to get some extra energy attached at some point, just in case that's needed. Oh, not that. Vessel. We have the metal energy in the deck. That's perfect. All right. Yep, we're good. Okay. Here. How do we pull off this play? We got it. We got it. We want to cape the active. Because if I cape the active, we'll have 330 HP. I don't believe there's a way they can... Oh, no, but if we cape, we can't counter gain. That's fine, because I got Vessel. So, first, we want to Arven. We're going to save Penny for the following turn. I'm going to go Nest Ball, and I'm going to take Future Booster Energy Capsule. Just for vibes. Not going to play it. Want to smack Cape on the active. I am going to take a KO, which means I'll be ahead, which means Aquamarine can be the attack my opponent uses. For now, we don't have to worry about that. Just going to Nest Ball for Goodra V. I'm going to use Vessel, get rid of an Iron Thorns, take out a Metal Energy and a Water Energy. I'm going to smack the Metal Energy on Iron Thorns. Yeah. And then we're going to use Volt Cyclone and take 2 prize cards. More importantly, I'm going to move the Metal Energy to Goodra V. And then I could evolve into the V-Star next turn. Actually, I guess I can't use Penny. Maybe I miscalculated this a little bit. We'll see. We'll see. I could sack Iron Thorns. I guess I don't really need Cape on Goodra, just because it didn't work out that way. Although, you know what? I am swinging for weakness, too. I could just swing with Iron Thorns after they attack me and take a KO on them. Take a 1-hit KO. Go up another 2 prize cards. That doesn't feel that bad either. I could Penny the following turn, especially if they don't have a backup attacker. Ooh. Low-key. That would cook. That would absolutely cook. All right, we got options. We got a lot of plays for next turn. There is an EV. Okay, so they do have an attacker. The following turn, potentially, depending on what energy they could get set up. They need a manual attachment here, though. If they don't have a manual attachment, there's definitely no hope for my opponent. Definitely no hope for my opponent. They got Defiance Band. They're swinging 310, which is just short on Iron Thorns, and I will take a reverse KO on them, and they do get the fire energy down on EV. I might just have to keep this Iron Thorns caped up. I don't think I'll be able to penny it. I don't think I will. Yeah. That's okay. We did get value out of Cape, because this Iron Thorns is going to take 4 prize cards. And at the end of the day, I guess that's really all that matters, as we're swinging and just doing damage on whatever I'm staring at. And that is good enough. Can Pokégear save me? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think the best play for us here, smack an Electric Energy down on the active. There's really no shot I'm going Iron Thorns after our active is KO. They could use Flip the Script or whatever. I could Penny. That's, again, really not gonna help me because Goodra VSTAR won't be able to attack. I think I don't really need any other supporter. Arven is fine. Just to dig out another item. I'll gear, just see if I get like a boss or something for the following turn. Judge and Crispin don't feel bad, or Iono. Because my opponent, you know what, let's take Iono. My opponent will take a KO, they'll go down to 3 prize cards. That's fine. We'll use, yeah, we'll use this next turn. Okay, for now, we're gonna Arven. Just take out maybe Vacuum? Maybe another gear? Just in case I need a search for boss's orders? Question mark? Yeah, why not? Let's do this. And then I could like bully an Eevee if they don't have the evolution like that in hand. We have a water energy too, so I could attach a water energy to the active in case we actually do, by some miracle, live this turn, and they don't have this set up. For now, we're taking 2 prize cards. We are jumping very far ahead of my opponent at this point. 1 more 2 prize KO, and we've got game. My opponent still has 5 prize cards, which means they have to kill 3 2 prize Pokemon, because I'm not going to be playing Jirachi at this point. There's a very high chance I'm not going to play anything besides the 1 Goodra. I just don't think I'll need it since I haven't used Moisture Star either and gotten that full heal yet. My opponent did promote Eevee, which tells me they've got some sort of evolution energy in hand. I just feel like it has to be Flareon, but Flareon's not going to swing for what it needs to. Flareon's going to swing 130. We could deal with that with Goodra all day. All day. And yeah, there's the Flareon. They got the fire energy attached. They have another energy in hand, or Noctowl. Noctowl could be a little problematic as well. But from what I understand, my opponent cannot go Boss and Crispin and KO my Goodra before I can set up, which works. Actually, now I might be jinxing myself. They do have the Ultra Ball. They do have Noctowl. They get rid of Victini. Wait, hold on. What does this guy do? They just boost Flareon by 10. Actually, that's relevant. Bumping Flareon up to 140 means it's taking 2-hit KOs on V-Star Pokemon such as Lugia V-Star and Regidrago V-Star. So it's actually not a bad random tech, and they take out a Jolteon. Did not go for the Noctowl here. Do they have any energy? And they Iono. Okay, so my phenomenal hand is knocked back down. And by phenomenal, really all I needed was an energy. And there's the energy I needed, so I could keep attacking. We're fine. We are fine. Nothing wrong with top decking a little energy card, which is going to carry me through the back half, actually back third at this point of the game. I maybe have like 2 attacks left before I close it out, assuming my opponent got an energy off their own Iono, and they can attack this turn too. Another Eevee is not the card they need. If they pass here, we are home free. Because then I'll get another attack off with Iron Thorns, I'll move the energy down to Goodra, and I'll just feel pretty good. Excuse me, when they do KO me. Do I Turo? Do I Turo? And just shut down all the prize cards. I won't be able to get Kate back, but I think that's fine. I think given the situation we're in, let's just Turo. Let's pick up the active. Full heal. Get rid of all the energy. Get rid of the cape. That's fine. Honestly, got so much value out of it. Allowed Iron Thorns to take 4 prize cards. My only Pokemon is Goodra VSTAR in the active spot. From what I understand, there's no way an Evolution deck can one-shot Goodra here. At least a Flareon deck. which means I have Moisture Star next turn. I can swing into their active Flareon, take 2 prize cards that way, close out the game. They can't use Flip the Script. I didn't take a KO. If I take a KO at this point, I'm closing out the game. I like my positioning after the Turo. Sure, my hand is dead, but all you need with this deck is 1 Goodra and a Dream, and we have exactly that. If my opponent uses Flareon to attack, I'm winning. If they retreat, I'm getting a free attack on another Pokemon. They're probably not attacking since they need 2 energy to attack, and they used Arven this turn. Yeah, they already used their supporter. I don't see how my opponent gets away with this one. I mean, maybe I am missing something. Maybe they go Glass Trumpet or something like that, and they actually could pull off an attack. That would be pretty cool. I'm not going to lie. But I just don't think it's super likely, especially considering that out of the 4 cards in their hand, 2 of them are energy. I think my opponent is probably just going to Burning Charge for 50 damage. And then I'm going to swing for KO, take 2 prize cards, hop into match number 2. We'll see what my opponent's got in store for us. They attach an energy to their benched Flareon. Okay. And they have Rescue Board. Alright, so they can retreat. That's fine. If they retreat into Flareon EX, I'll just swing on that guy too. If they retreat into a single prizer, which knocked out, that's fair. They do get access to Pheasantipity, but I can handle that. I can handle a Fez. Rod is not a card I really need right now. I don't hate taking back some energy, but again, we got Goodra and a Dream. I'll take my 1 prize card. See what my opponent's got in store for us. Their hand is just a water energy, top deck, and whatever they flip the script into. And we've got another energy, so there is a chance I could start setting up another Goodra, depending on what I top deck. It'd have to be something insane, though. Honestly, I think at this point, I just wait for them to attack me for 50 damage, and then Moisture Star. Because, actually, I wouldn't even have to. No, I wouldn't. Unless they play a second Defiance Band, then that could get problematic. The reason I'm mathing this out, if they swing 280, if they do 50 damage, because they're doing 80 damage minus 130, we'd have 50 damage, we'd have 220 HP. If they use the 280 damage attack, it would be minus 80, which would be 200. We would live with 20 HP, and then I can Moisture Star. I'm going to see what they take off this Arven. If they take a Defiance Band and they prepare to use the bottom attack, I will probably Moisture Star here just to be safe. And they take a switch. They got no tools left. Yeah, they don't have another Defiance Band. They would have taken it there. There's no way they would have kept that in the deck. I don't know. I don't see what the point would be of keeping it a secret unless they know that's what I'm trying to do and they're mathing through their own math and they have an Arven in hand. That's a huge gamble from my opponent, but it would be a pretty cool one nonetheless. Yeah, I'm not going to Moisture Star here. I could lose because of that. My opponent goes Defiance Band, KO, and uses Carnelian the next turn. But I'm going to run that fade. I'm going to take those odds. If they go Jolteon, what would that mean? Jolteon, can Jolteon swing for enough? I believe it can. But they wouldn't have enough energy on the bench because the bottom attack is still 280. Never mind, that's game. Hate to see it. Top deck boss, give me your Eevee. Swing 200. Could have taken your Flareon too. Could have taken any single prize Pokemon either. I just wanted Eevee. I don't know why. I knew Eevee had 200 HP. It just felt good. Give me that last prize card. Let's close out match number 1. Let's hop into match number 2 and see if Goodra VSTAR can clutch up another win and guarantee the positive record for us. Welcome to match number 2. I apologize for not getting this video out a day sooner. Clearly it's a different day recording, so we're just jumping in. I had a bit of stuff come up, so I apologize. But anyways, here we are. We're going second, and we've got a solid hand. We've got Pokégear, we got Crispin, we got Iron Thorns in the active, and we have an energy. So if I can Pokégear into Arven, I can pull out Nest Ball, TM Turbo Energize, I could get a Goodra V established. I already have the energy, so I don't have to worry about getting some energy attached, and then I should be able to continue the game at a very, very solid pace from there. That's pretty much just all you need is like one Goodra and a solid play like that, and we're up against Torterra EX. Alright, definitely not the deck I expected to play, but definitely one I think I might have to revisit. I know the last time I visited Torterra, I came up with this insane list that I absolutely love, and I talked about how I think Badoo only brought more to the table. It slowed down the format, which is what I think Torterra needed to take off more. So I might have to throw this on the list of decks I need to visit very soon. Our Goodra, or Iron Thorns, I should say, it's not going to shut down their deck very well. I don't think they have many rule box abilities that they're going to rely on too much. However, our Goodra's damage reduction can definitely be a big piece of what could help us get away with this game. So it's definitely a part I'm going to rely on a lot more. But if I got to do a little more time with Iron Thorns, we're rocking, and top decking in Arven there is absolutely perfect. That should get me everything I need. So we got 2 Goodras in the deck. We got the Goodra there too. All right, perfect. Then we got our energy. Sweet. So I'm going to Nest Ball here, pull out a Goodra V. I can attach the electric energy to my active, use TM Turbo Energize, then I can set up Goodra, and we actually have Future Booster Energy Capsule in hand, which I didn't totally process as being phenomenal at the start, but next turn, what I can do, I can use Jet Energy on Goodra VSTAR to bring it to the active, or I can pivot out using Future Booster Energy Capsule on the Thorns just to give it that free retreat. Neither hurt too much. Honestly, might depend what I gear into. If I gear into a solid supporter, I don't need to use Crispin. I can probably just attach the Jet Energy to Goodra. Yeah, it's a retreat that way. But if I have to use Crispin, I'm going to get more energy on Goodra. Anyways, actually, you know what? Either way, I don't know why I wouldn't play Capsule. I feel like at this point, it's just the best tool to have on Iron Thorns. Really, the only way I get it out of play is if I Penny or Turo it. I'm probably not going to put any other tools. If I get an Arven for Cape, I'm going to put that on Goodra. So I don't need much on Iron Thorns. Yeah, we're definitely smacking Capsule down. They get the secret box off the Arven with TM Evo, and they get rid of it. All right. As well as Area 0 under depths, which makes sense. They would play Ogerpon, because if they play Ogerpon, they got more grass Pokemon in play, which means Torterra EX is swinging even harder. And what did my opponent take with that? Because that's going to be very important. So they got TM Evo and Area 0 under depths. Okay, wait. No, they had TM Evo. They didn't get rid of it. Wait, hold up. No, they got... I'm so lost, dude. I can't read cards. So they discarded Area 0 to get Area 0. That's what totally threw me off. We saw them get rid of TM Evo. They took Iono, but chose not to play it, leaving us with a Goodra VSTAR. I can't play Pokégear because they went in with Badoo. But if... Actually, no, I was going to say I can't play Pokégear, but if I could find Boss, that would be awesome. Then I tried playing Pokégear. No, I just said I can't play it. Alright, well, I'm not thinking much today. That's always good. Let's use Crispin. Let's just forget about all these mistakes. Let's pull out a Water Energy and an Electric Energy. I will put the Water Energy into my hand. I will put the extra Electric Energy on the Iron Thorns. And then I'll use the Jet on Goodra to bring it to the active. And then I could still play my Tool, because tools are not items anymore. Sorry, the reason I'm saying that out loud is because I've been looking at expanded decks recently for a certain reason, which I'll explain probably in the coming week. But I just had to remind myself of that because the old tools don't say that. And we'll swing with Rolling Iron for a KO on Badoo, leaving my opponent's Grottle. And although my opponent has not had the best time going, that is literally the turn. Like, that second turn right there is what won me the tournament. I mean, you're just able to pull so far ahead. Sorry, my cat is leaping up and down, attacking a sock right now. That's her favorite toy, and it blows my mind. I buy her all these toys. She's a blind cat. Buy her all these sound-based toys, and here she is obsessed with the sock. Anyways, this turn 2, like, Arven into TM Turbo Energize as our turn 2 just sets up an attack so easily. Honestly, I've played so many different Goodra decks. I don't think I've had one that consistently sets up Goodra as quickly and as efficiently as this build right here. Like, that play is so easy to pull off, and we lost Boss's Orders to get Boss's Orders, which is awesome. So if there's something I want to gust up now, I can easily take it out. I don't know what that would be. I think just taking a KO on Grottle feels the best, especially if my opponent doesn't get another Turtwig down, because then I could save Boss to deal with their only other Turtwig in play after that, and just kind of jump farther ahead, limit my opponent's attackers, and they get Radiant Venusaur, which, if you saw my last Torterra video, you know, is probably my second favorite Radiant, behind Radiant Jirachi. Something about Sunny Bloom is just a really fun ability to use. It helps after your opponent, you know, like after you play an Iono or something, or even you just have a really good hand and you're left with one card in hand, which is like, I had a great turn, but next turn, I got nothing else to do. Well, Radiant Venusaur could clutch up and draw you cards after your turn, which, sure, alright, it's not while you're taking your turn, but it means going into your next turn, you got something special going on, you got something solid to play. So my opponent is going to use Sunshine Shell, get a Grottle in hand. I didn't think about them going Torterra here. They are going to Forest March and not TM Evo, which means if I could deal with their active Torterra, there is a good chance that I can kind of just stop their setup, and we're two-shotting them. I'm not worried about getting KO'd here. And again, another absolutely perfect top deck. I'll put the water energy on Iron Thorns. I'm going to Arven here for another Nest Ball, just for another Goodra line, as well as Cape. And I'm just going to Cape up on Goodra right now, just in case my opponent gets some more Pokemon down. I could heal. I don't think I totally need to. I think I could take one more turn. I could take one more attack. If my opponent gets some more Pokemon in play and Lost Vacuum, we could be in a little bit of trouble. I'm going to hope that that doesn't happen. I'm just going to swing for now with Goodra. Try to get off another attack, which would allow me to get more out of a Moisture Star. But this is a gamble. Probably not going to pay off. Usually my gambles fall a little short, but I'll rock with it. We'll see what's up. And my opponent's going to go Grotle into Grotle to allow themselves to get all of the grass Pokemon in play they need and set up consistent engines. And this is why I love Torterra so much. It just, like, when you get the right starting hand, the deck flows so well. If you don't know what Torterra does, it's got 340 HP, so it's even tankier than Charizard. And you got the Force March ability. You do 30 damage for each grass Pokemon in play. I think I might have mentioned that before they got it down. I don't remember. But when you combo that with Teal Mask Ogerpon in Area 0 Under Depths, you could get a massive bench and swing for an insane amount of damage much faster. Alright, yeah, this is where things become problematic. If they play Vacuum, we're seeing it here. I'm hoping with the sheer amount of Pokemon and Area 0 Under Depths in this deck, they don't play Vacuum. They just rely on Stadium bumps, and they don't really care to deal with tools. But I have no way to guarantee that. I mean, either way, they're going to search for it. They either got it or they don't. If they got it, I mean, you know, we'll cope. I got Nest Ball for Goodra. I got Crispin to get some more energy down, and I can Volt Cycle and move the water energy. Like, we're in a good spot, and they go Counter Catch it. That's fine. They can deal with my Iron Thorns. Honestly, all I really need is just one Goodra. And they can't play Boss this turn, too. They have to have Double Catcher in hand to Counter Catcher Goodra to the bench and then move it back into the active spot to swing for full damage. If they do that, I still think we should live. And no, they're just going to Force March, take the KO, swinging 270. And actually, Badoo does fix that math a lot, doesn't it? Yeah, it's a 10 damage needed for a lot of V-Stars. Huh, that's pretty cool. Well, regardless, they'd swing for 190. Because we're taking 80 less damage from attacks, and we have 240 HP left. If they had Vacuum, they would have played it there. I might just leave it. Actually, you know what I could do? I could Vacuum away their Stadium. Force them to get rid of a lot of Pokemon there. That could save us a bit, too. I don't really need another Iron Thorns. They took out the one Iron Thorns. I'm really not going to do much to try to fight back for another one. I think here I'm just going to Nest Ball for Goodra, manual attach the energy, and use Crispin. Just start to set up another Goodra if I can. I mean, my opponent's going to have a pretty solid turn, especially when we're taking out a Torterra here. I don't know. Let's go for it. Let's get Goodra down. Just set up a backup Goodra. Never hurts. Especially when my opponent does have a chance at playing Vacuum or something and just dealing with an Oko pretty nicely. We'll get 2 energy smackdown. I'll put the water energy in my hand. It really doesn't matter. I'm just going to attach it anyways. Whoopsies. Forgot I got a drag. It's not just a click. I always forget stuff like that. You would think after playing this game so much, I know that, but I don't. So we'll Rolling Iron here, take the KO, and hopefully tank one more attack. I want to get full value off this Moisture Star, and that was, again, if you watch the stream from the Rogue Regionals, that was what won me the tournament. Was I waited, I took a gamble. I was playing up against Hydreigon EX, and I knew that a Caped Goodra could tank another hit, so I didn't need to Moisture Star, and then because of that, I actually won the game with 10 HP on my active Goodra V. So actually, it was my only Goodra in play. So I was able to just tank as many hits as possible, heal, and then tank that many more hits. Just tank one more hit, which allowed me to take the KO needed to win the game. I'm hoping that's going to be the case here, too. You know, I could tank a shot here, and then because my opponent could very likely play another Area 0 Under Depths, I'm going to heal. They could KO me after that. I want to get more value out of the Caped Goodra, especially when we don't have Goodra V-Star on the bench automatically. And then I can deal with more Torterras that way and actually potentially just win the game out with my active Goodra. My opponent goes Bug Catching, set off Arven, which is not Lost Vacuum, which is all I needed to see. And they'll go Sunshine Shell again for a Torterra EX. Yeah, that's fair. Just so that they could guarantee that before the Bug Catching set, then they can use Bug Catching set and maybe go for like a Rapska or something, just evolve this guy up on the bench. Just search out any other grass basic Pokemon could be nice. If my opponent gets another Stadium down, they could boost their damage that way. But I don't know how much to swing for. They got 5 Pokemon on the bench. They'll swing for, what, 150? And then minus 80, they'll swing for 70 damage. We probably could tank. a shot after that. But in case they play a third stadium, and there is a good chance they do play a third stadium, I'm not going to mess with it. Not going to mess with it at all. Yeah, there's 2 played. We haven't seen a third one down. I'm assuming they have it in the deck. I feel like this deck relies on that damage boost a lot. It's important to play a higher count of the areas you're ended up, so I'm just going to Moisture Star next turn, pretty much no matter what my opponent does for the rest of this turn. And they're going to Night Stretcher. Take back what? Maybe a Torterra. Oh, no, Grass Energy to set up another Grotto. Okay, that's fair. They only need 1 energy, which is like the nicest thing about this deck too. You can swing for really solid damage for just 1 energy, and swinging for weakness into Charizard is always nice. And you're like, you just have a tanky bench. If you can get that Rabs Gun play too, you don't take any damage counters from effects of attacks, so you can effectively do a Dragapult. And Grotto has 100 HP, which could just tank a little bit more than other Stage 1 Pokemon, so yeah, just a solid play. You get also to dodge Greninja, because you're at 100, not 90, which is a huge benefit. So we get another boss's orders. I'll throw the water energy on the bench. I'm definitely going to Moisture Star here, just in case. And then I think our play is just to swing. Just get some good damage done on Torterra EX. If my opponent does gust up our Goodra V and take a KO here, it's not the end of the world. We'd be left with my Goodra VSTAR with Cape at full HP. I wouldn't be complaining too much after that. My opponent is definitely in kind of a tough spot. We have a very tanky deck, and they don't swing for the most insane amount of damage, which is great for us because we're reducing a lot. We can heal more, we can tank more. We've just got more potential to get more value out of Goodra. We want to ideally take like 3-4 prizes with Goodra VSTAR, with each one, if not all 6, which is definitely possible. And actually, we could probably do that with our active Goodra here. I think the backup Goodra is really just there for safety. You know, like a potential boss target. If it gets boss KO'd, I think we'll still be fine. I think we still swing pretty well into this deck, especially when I was going to say have boss's orders in hand to take a single prizer, but they are going to go to the bottom of the deck. I did speak a second too soon on that play. Pokégear does feel pretty nice. I could actually use Arven to shuffle the deck and then Pokégear the following turn, because I don't need boss right now. Actually, I think what I want to do is Arven for Ultra Ball and a random tool, and then save Pokégear to search for boss's orders the turn after. But if I can get 2 Goodra V-Stars down, we're good for the rest of the game. I've actually got no worries that we could close this one out. I'm pretty certain I can deal with a couple Torterras with my Goodras, especially if I got 2 set up V-Stars. A V makes things more complicated, it's less tanky and swings for a little less, but 2 V-Stars, now that's what we need to close her out. So my opponent's going to use Sunny Bloom, draw their 1 card. My opponent only swung for 100 damage, so we are going to Arven, pull out an Ultra Ball, and we'll go TM Turbo Energize. No shot, I'm going to be using that in the rest of the game. I will get rid of Jet Energy, TM Turbo Energize. Having Judge is always just a nice backup. And then boom, we got 2 Goodra V-Stars. 1 prize left, because I'm taking 2 prizes here. And I don't know how my opponent closes this one out. They need a lot to go their way very quickly. I don't even know if they could do that just staring down the board state we have. We don't have great gust options. I got another Pokégear out of the prizes, so I've got an even higher chance of drawing into a boss's orders now that I've got 2 gear. And my opponent has Forest March Torterra in the active. They could swing for another 100 damage, assuming they get a bunch of Pokemon down and no Area 0 under depths. That damage could increase depending on the stadium and Pokemon potential that my opponent has, but we'll see. We'll see. And they got a Nest Ball. Yeah, they're swinging the 100. It's not going to do it. It's not going to do it, especially when we're sitting at 370. We're going to take 4 shots from my opponent's Torterra, and there is another Iono. So I will lose the Pokégears once more and draw into a Nest Ball. Could get down Radiant Jirachi. Don't see too much of a benefit in that because I don't have the energy for it. My opponent did get the stadium down, but no Pokemon. I don't have any stadium out, so that is fine for my opponent from here on out. Not much to do to bump it, but I don't think we'll really need to. I'm tempted to get down Radiant Jirachi because we got the electric energy, but I'm going to hold off and just wait and see if I can get another energy, because right now my opponent is in a situation where if they do not pivot their Torterra out of the active, we're taking a KO, we're winning the game. So my opponent's definitely in a much trickier spot than I am, and they also have to worry about decking out from here. They need a switch card, a scoop up Cyclone, a Turo, anything of the sort. If not, we got game. I know they got rid of a switch card, 2 switch cards actually. It could be big. They might not have another. They could go boss. I'm not too scared of that. It's not going to take a KO. They're swinging for 180, and yeah, we'll close out match number 2 pretty comfortably. Torterra is definitely a fun deck to play, though, actually. I definitely want to revisit this deck. It's got potential. We're just a very bad matchup for it. I'll just swing for KO, man. You know, our Goodras did what they needed to do. I don't think there was any way my opponent could have KO'd this Goodra. They didn't clearly KO the one they bossed up. Just kind of walked through that deck. So, match number 2 ended in a chip. I believe we're 2-0. We'll hop into match number 3, see if I can close out the perfect record, just like the Rogue Regional. I'll see y'all there. Welcome to match number 3. We're going first, and we're seeing a Rotom V-Star, which does not tell me much about what I'm playing. And I've got a decent hand. I do kind of want... Actually, do I even need to get down Goodra with this turn? I don't think I do. I think here, actually, I might just vibe one more turn and just wait to see what Pokégear can bring me. If I Ultra Balled for a Goodra, it really isn't going to do much. Just because I have no energy in play, I'm obviously not going to Turbo Energize. I can't use Arven, couldn't use a tool. I've got gear to look for it, and we're up against a Charizard deck. Okay, so this is going to be a scary matchup. And we're going to need to use a mix of Iron Thorns and Goodra VSTAR as well, actually. We're going to need Iron Thorns for the early, and then, like, early-ish middle game, just to shut down some huge rule box abilities, and we're going to need Goodra to clutch up and tank some shots against Charizard, because a late-game Charizard is going to be terrifying. Using Iron Thorns in this match as an attacker for more than Turbo Energize is going to be pretty valid, though, especially, again, in the early setup portion of the game. My opponent can't instant charge, which might mean they have a bit more of a bricked hand. They didn't play any supporters, which is nice, and we get Goodra V off the top deck. That's huge. So we can Pokégear here, and we get a Crispin. All right. I guess that's not bad. We got 2 Crispins for this turn and next turn. I did not get the TM Turbo Energize play I wanted, but we could use Crispin just to set up an attacking Iron Thorns and then move energy to Goodra that way. Which is a solid way to set up Goodra, especially when Iron Thorns can put in so much work against this matchup. For now, we'll just attach there, pass it on over to my opponent, see what they got in store for us. I've got Crispin for next turn, but if I top deck an energy, I think what I want to do is go boss on Pidgeot. If I could shut down that Pidgeot now, that is going to feel a whole lot better. Especially when Rotom is a very easy retreat option for my opponent. It's not the best KO. I'm going to one-shot it anyways with Goodra. It's not like I needed some extra damage like Pheasantipity. You know, if I swung into Pheasantipity with Iron Thorns, I'd have to two-shot it anyways. That would feel a little bit better. Just so Goodra could deal with it later on Rotom, it just feels like a bit more of a waste. And my opponent goes into Arven, which is not Boss's Orders. They can't play Counter Catcher. We're tied on prizes. So we'll see what they've got in their hand. If they Rare Candy Charizard too early, and they go Rare Candy Forest Seal Stone. Okay, yeah, they gotta be careful. If they Rare Candy Charizard too early, they will not be able to use the ability. The ability will be shut down. If they go Rare Candy Pidgeot just to get it set up, I mean, that would feel even better considering I have the potential to top deck an energy, go boss KO on it. My opponent's gonna Ultra Ball here, get rid of 2 cards, and they still have Forest Seal Stone. That is an ability they can use because it is an ability attached to my opponent's Pokemon. I don't know, it's weird how it works, but you know, even though we shut down rule box abilities, they do have access to Forest Seal Stone. They can search for 1 card, and they do have Rare Candy Pidgeot. Alright. I'm curious to see if they play Forest Seal Stone or if they just hold it in hand and wait to see how I follow up. They are going to attach Double Turbo Energy to Pidgeot and create a solid attacker out of it, but that attacker can get one shot very easily. We know one of the cards in my opponent's hand can be any card they need it to be, and we top deck Hero's Cape. Alright, that feels pretty good. So, we're going to go Crispin. We're going to get a Metal Energy and a Water Energy. I'm going to attach the Metal Energy to Iron Thorns. Actually, no. Yeah, the Water Energy to Goodra. The Metal Energy to Iron Thorns. Then I'm going to move the energy with Volt Cyclone. I'm going to hold Cape in hand another turn, just in case. We haven't taken any prize cards. I don't think my opponent has a great way to KO Goodra V. So I'm just going to work on setting it up this way. And then next turn, I can Ultra Ball for Goodra VSTAR. There's no benefit in getting rid of cards in my hand. I really want to keep Boss's Orders. So I could maybe go for a Gust Play next turn if I could draw 1 more energy. I guess I could have put both energy on Iron Thorns just so I could have guaranteed the boss KO on Pidgeot. That might have been a safer play, but I mean, we're here now. If I have to retreat, actually, it doesn't feel great either. Does it? No, not really. It is weird. I could just take a KO on Rotom. Yeah. I mean, my opponent isn't doing much. I don't really need to do... But I'd have to go Iono just to guarantee the KO, wouldn't I? Yes, I would. Okay. That's fine. I'd give my opponent a new hand, but I'd keep them in a very tricky spot. I'm going to throw the Cape on Goodra. I'm going to throw the Capsule on Iron Thorns. I'm going to Ultra Ball. Oh, wait, Ultra Ball Counter Catcher. and pull out a Goodra VSTAR. Good to see that I have all my Goodras in the deck, as well as Radiant Jirachi. None of them are prized, which is going to be huge. I'm going to give my opponent a new hand, but I'm also going to hopefully find an energy card in my new hand, and I will gladly take a Jet Energy for this turn too. I'm going to keep Iron Thorns in the active. We're moving an energy to our benched Pokemon anyways. I have Crispin to get more energy in play if needed. And we'll take 2 prize cards here, which could be very pivotal. I'm going to move a Jet Energy to Goodra. If I set up another Goodra V next turn, I'm going to want to leave that Water Energy on Iron Thorns, just so I can then use Volt Cyclone to move the energy to the following Goodra. And I forgot to hit Select, so we'll take our 2 prize cards there. See what my opponent's got in store. A Pokégear into Boss is really what I want, man. Even, you know, taking out a Charmander could be huge. Because Charizard is not scary if there's no Charizards in play. My opponent promoted Pidgeot, which makes sense. It's got a free retreat pivot. They need a boss's orders to get Goodra in the active so they could use Quick Search. They could use Flip the Script. Countercatcher will do. They've got access to abilities. Now is when we have to worry a little bit. My opponent can very easily get a Charizard EX and swing for some solid damage onto Goodra, which means I'm probably going to have to Moisture Star this turn. There's a chance my opponent can 2-shot me from here, especially if they get Defiant Span. I mean, they'll be swinging what? 240 minus 80 is 160. 160 plus 160 is 320. Hold up. Although my opponent could very easily also go Countercatcher Boss's orders the following turn. Are they going to get the Defiance Band down? The Defiance Band would mean they do 30 more, which would be 60 over the course of 2 turns. So it would go from 320 to KO. Ah, man. Do I want to chance that? I don't know if that's a gamble I'm willing to take. I think just out of safety, we want to Moisture Star here. I played the Jet Energy, which I had to do. If I could have held the Jet Energy, man, and just got it the following turn to take a Boss KO on Pidgeot, that feels so good, and keep Goodra on the back end. And my opponent's going to go Vacuum and also get rid of her cape. All right. Well, that's annoying. Now I definitely have to Moisture Star no matter what they do. I needed the 370 to be able to potentially tank a shot. If my opponent's going to Vacuum, get rid of my Ace Spec, it's going to hurt, but that's something I'm going to have to be prepped to deal with at some point. And now is that some point. We'll see what my opponent's got in store. If they Blistering Wind for 40, I'm chilling. If they retreat into Charizard, which is the expected attack, I've got a lot more problems in my hand, especially when considering they got Duskull. Because then they could go Rare Candy into Dusknoir. That plus a Charizard attack will probably KO us. That's not good. So what would I want to do? Probably go Arven for Nest Ball and Counter Gain, maybe. I don't hate that. Or EXP Share actually might be a little bit more valuable. Just because my opponent and I might be tied on prizes, so I wouldn't be able to use Counter Gain effectively, but nope, doesn't matter. My opponent's going to Iono me. I'm going to lose a pretty solid hand, especially considering I had another Metal Energy with Arven. And I'll get Jirachi with 2 energy. That is a Pokemon I love to see at any point in the game. Just a solid all-around attacker. I am not afraid to go into Jirachi and flip 2 coins. I did it a bunch of times in the tournament, and I will do it again for match number 3 of this video and showcase just how powerful Astral Misfortune could be. I don't think I was able to pull one off in this video. I don't totally remember what happened in game 1. I remember it was against an Evolution deck. I don't remember much past that. So, yeah. I don't know. Hopefully I can pull one off this game, though. That would be pretty sweet. My opponent's got Ultra Ball, which could get Dusknoir, and the next turn they go Quick Search for Rare Candy, is my bet. No, they go Dusclops. Okay. So they're going to go the manual evolution route, I guess, which is not something I'm too scared of yet. They can't evolve. They did play Duskull down this turn. So that is stuck in their hand for at least a little bit longer. My opponent's just going to Burning Darkness for 240 damage. So that's annoying. Alright. Wait, actually, wasn't I supposed to take 80 less damage from attacks? Did I not? No, they went Countercatcher. Duh. I knew that. I knew that. I don't know what is going on in my brain, but it's not working too well. I do get the Arven play I was hoping for. So I'm going to go Nest Ball, and we prized EXP Share because I don't think I Ultra Balled it away. Well, if that's the case, we're taking Counter Gain. And now I can take a Goodra VSTAR. I'll hold the Counter Gain in hand, just because I'm curious to see where my opponent places the damage. And I'll throw a water. I could throw a Water Energy on Goodra. Let's do that, just in case. So if I get Crispin next turn, I could fully set up a Goodra VSTAR potentially. I'll get down Radiant Jirachi just in case. 100% have to Moisture Star. Almost just attack. That would have been pretty bad. Just need to reset the damage on my Goodra. Get another attack ahead. and swing 2 hundo. I do have counter gain. I could use that on Goodra VSTAR, swing for 2 energy, or Radiant Jirachi, swing for 1 energy. Both of them I would be very happy to do. I got no problems with either. My opponent could very easily go Boss's Orders this turn and take a KO, especially with that Dusclops. That could be a little bit scary. Not the end of the world, because my Goodra VSTAR that is set up in the active would still be at full HP, and you guys saw last match how that's pretty huge. And I don't have a problem with benching Jirachi here either, because if my opponent KOs it, we get 3 cards, and it doesn't get them to win any faster. It's really just there, it's like rage bait at this point. I mean, you know, if my opponent wants to, you know, deal with that and take it out, that's fine. My opponent plays a Luminion, which is another very easy 2-prize KO I would love to take. And they search out Arven, which is not Boss's Order, so it seems they are just going to swing into the active, and I'm going to be in top deck mode a little bit longer. Man, I actually don't know where to put this last energy. I'm tempted to put it on Iron Thorns, although that's not really going to save me. My opponent's got another rare Kenny Charizard. I need to get a Boss's Orders. I need Boss so I can deal with the Charizard that's got damage counters done to it. Because right now, that is the Charizard I want to take a KO. I also need a Boss's Orders to deal with Luminion V. Just because it's a lot easier to one-shot Luminion than 2-shot a Charizard for very self-explanatory reasons. So if I could take that guy out now, that would make me feel a little bit more comfortable. And my opponent goes Luminous, or Force Your Stone for Charmeleon. So they're going all manual evolutions. They're not messing with any rare candies, which is smart. I guess a deck like us could run Devo. Maybe that's something my opponent is scared of. And if they could just be a little safer and manually evolve different Pokemon, I guess that's fair. But I thought they would go Rare Candy Charizard just so they could retreat their active, go into a new set-up Charizard. And that would be ridiculous for us to deal with. I would feel a lot worse about that. So my opponent just leaving this Charizard in the active makes me feel a little bit more comfortable. I'm curious to see if they have Dusknoir. Did they? No, they Burning Darkness. Okay, and swing 160. They could have KO'd us with the Dusknoir there. I'm curious as to why they didn't. I'm not going to complain, though. We get another Nest Ball. It's not going to help us too much. I'm going to hold it just in case I get another Ultra Ball. It's very easy. Discard Iron Thorns and Nest Ball, and I want to save the other 2 cards in my hand. I'm also not going to attach an energy just because I don't totally know where I'm going to need this energy yet. There's 3 Pokemon. All of them could need it. I think our best bet, just swing. I don't know where to put the counter gain. Don't know where to put the energy. I could get value with it on the energy. I could get value with it on Iron Thorns or Radiant Jirachi. The counter gain, I could get value with it on Goodra V or Jirachi. And now we get our EXP share in Arven. Arven is not the supporter I wanted to see, but it is a supporter, which allows me to play the game. And, I mean, at the end of the day, that's the most important thing, isn't it? So, yeah, that's cool. My opponent's going to Rod, get back Charizard EX, and some energy. And this would be a great time for my opponent to go evolve into Dusknoir and Rare Candy Charizard take a KO. So they could take 4 prize cards this turn. That would be the most terrifying play possible. I think at that point, the only play I would have left to try to deal with something is to go counter gain Radiant Jirachi. Actually, no, we wouldn't even be counter gain. We would be tied on prizes. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. That's not good. That's very bad. That's problematic. Because I don't have a Crispin. I can't get Jirachi set up this turn. I don't have counter gain, so I can't manual attach swing. I could go in with Iron Thorns, but I've got a feeling a 2-prize Pokemon is all my opponent needs to close out the game and take a KO. My opponent definitely has some Boss's Orders left. Yeah, they've only played 1 counter game. They could very easily gust up, well, any 2-prize Pokemon after they take 4 prize cards here and take a KO that way. Did they use... They used Pidgeot before Fez. Alright, that's interesting. Generally, I always tell people, just small tip, use Fez first. Whatever you're quick searching for, there's a chance you could draw into it with Fez. And then based on that, you could quick search for a potentially more effective card. And my opponent's going to go Boss's Orders on Iron Thorns. Alright, that's great. I will gladly keep 2 more, another turn with Goodra. It's a harder attacking Pokemon. Sure, we could one-shot their Pidgeot or Luminion with Iron Thorns, but at this point, that is so annoying too. Well, at least our Goodra VSTAR is on the bench, and I get Arven, so if nothing else, I could get Vessel. Counter gain feels really good too. It's actually like 2 of the best cards that were in my hand. I got back. All right, that's fine. And my opponent takes a KO. They did not use Dusknoir. It seems they're going to try to go for a 4-prize play next turn, which will just instantly win them the game. They got Dusknoir for KO on my damaged Goodra V, regardless if that's the attacking Pokemon or not, and then they could use Charizard with Boss's Orders to KO this Goodra V, because if they take a KO on my active, I'm just going to promote Jirachi, and we get another Arven out of the top deck. Alright, well, here I guess the best play is for us to go EXP share and gear. We don't have another Ultra Ball, so I can't search that one out. I can counter gain Goodra, nor did I have Vessel. Nah, that's not good. Alright. We'll counter gain Goodra, we'll EXP share Jirachi. Trying to think if I wanted to flip that. Sorry, that's why I was quiet. And then we'll swing 200. I've got gear. They probably have game this turn. But if they don't, I do have gear. I could try to look for boss's orders. And maybe I should have flipped that. I don't know. It's kind of a mess. Kind of a mess. I need to top deck a Metal Energy really bad. And a Goodra VSTAR at the same time. I need to top deck 2 cards. Which usually doesn't mean I've got a good chance of winning. Which leaves Radiant Jirachi's Astral Misfortune. If I have one more turn, I'm going to move an energy to Jirachi. I am going to gear and almost hope I hit Crispin at that point. Get some energy down on Goodra. Or Goodra. Oh boy, now I'm throwing. Get some energy down on Jirachi. And swing. My opponent does use Quick Search. They get the Dusknoir out. They can use Cursed Blast to take a KO on Goodra VSTAR, and we'll see if they have the boss's orders in hand needed to get around Jirachi. If not, we are able to search for 3 cards, which probably could guarantee us the game, assuming they actually swing into Jirachi. There's the KO. We will take a prize card. I don't know what card out of the prizes could be huge for me to take. I know what Ultra Ball's in there, I believe. That could be pretty sweet. And we get Vacuum. All right, well, that's not going to help too much, is it? And both our Ultra Balls are down. Alright. I didn't think about that. I didn't realize I used Ultra Ball, I believe, to get rid of an Ultra Ball. Alright. That's not good. Here's Jirachi. Do you have boss's orders? Are you going to knock me down to 2-1, take me off my high horse, my huge undefeated streak? Yes, you do. Well played by my opponent. I knew Charizard was going to be a difficult one. Charizard is a deck that could get around Goodra very well. Not just Goodra, but just Pokemon with annoying effects. Like Charizard plays a very high gust count, and they've got great ways to get around it. Maybe we should have tried to rely on Iron Thorns a little bit more, just so they didn't have those gust options. We didn't go Goodra until a bit later in the game. I don't know, maybe that was a bit of a misplay on my end. Either way though, 2-1 with this deck is a solid record. I'm very happy to show this deck off. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I definitely had a ton of fun making this video, playing this deck, and I hope you guys are able to play this deck before Goodra VSTAR rotates in a couple months. You still got plenty of time to run our favorite VSTARs. And yeah, I mean, with that being said, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I'm definitely getting back into posting more. I just had like a bit of an off week with the tournament coming up and everything. I just wasn't recording as frequently, so I apologize. I will be trying my best to get out videos. And yeah, with that being said, stay epic. Peace.